What is up, guys? And today we're going to be talking about a trade that I did not like from the start a year ago. And I want to talk about this trade because I told Mitty from before that this trade was not going to work. And he was like, oh, the 49ers, she gave up on them too easily. No, the dude was carried on the 49ers. And every 49ers fan can tell you this. Jimmy G was just not that dude. If you thought he was that dude on the 49ers, you clearly don't watch football and you don't watch film like I do. So let's go ahead and break down on why this was a bad trade. First off, he was never a great quarterback to begin with. And if I was the Raiders, I'd be disappointed in myself. And that's why I think the GM got fired not too long ago for the Raiders. I'd be disappointed if I was the GM of the Las Vegas Raiders. Because out of all the quarterbacks that came in the draft between Bryce Young, you could have probably just kept Derek Carr. If you wanted to get rid of Derek Carr that bad, you should have kept him for this one more year, this year, and then you go look for a quarterback because this draft is quarterback heavy. You got Michael Penix, you got Bo Nix, you got Caleb Williams. You have quarterback heavy draft. And now you're stuck with Jimmy G for 3 years because of his massive contract you gave him. I forgot exactly what the contract was, but I just know it's a big contract for 3 years. He's being paid more than some of the average quarterbacks in the league, and it's ridiculous. He was never that good to begin with. I want to tell you his stats. I think he had a 65% completion percentage, 1,205 yards, 7 touchdowns, 9 ints. And this was in the first half of the season before he got benched. And this was also the same time Josh McDaniels was fired. It is pathetic. I don't know what the Raiders were thinking about here when they was going to get Jimmy G. Did they think they were going to go to a Super Bowl or something with Jimmy G? Because Kyle Shanahan was a genius? Absolutely not. Do you not know how good the 49ers were when they had Jimmy G in the Super Bowl? He wasn't even the reason they got to that Super Bowl in 2019. It was Raheem Mostert. Did they not watch film or something? I'm highly concerned. I want to know what made the Raiders say, "Oh, we can win a Super Bowl with Jimmy G if we give him a chance with Devontae Adams." You need more than just receiver, dude. The 49ers were loaded everywhere that year. They had the best defense in the league that year too. They still had Deebo Samuel. I think Brandon Ayuk was Brandon Ayuk there? He probably wasn't at that time. But that's when that was Deebo's rookie year, right? Okay, if that was Deebo's rookie year, then Ayuk wasn't there. Okay. I think they had Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders is not a bad receiver. He's a good receiver. You have Emmanuel Sanders. You have Debo, and you have Kittle. I mean, you have a lot of good players. That's when Kittle was actually used as more as attacking tight end instead of blocking tight end now. But the dude is a double threat at tight end. I mean, and you thought you was going to get somewhere with just Jimmy G on his own. Jimmy G was not the reason. And don't sit here and try to bring up, well, Brock Purdy has the same weapons or maybe even more weapons. Because Brock Purdy, like I said in the last video about Brock Purdy, his stats in the first 2 years are better than Jimmy G's entire career as a starter for the Niners. It's not even close. Like if we swap Brock Purdy and Jimmy G right now, I guarantee you Brock Purdy would still have better stats than Jimmy G, even on the Raiders. I'm not trying to say he would have performed as good as he did this year in the Niners, but I guarantee you he would have better stats than Jimmy G. The dude had 7 touchdowns and 9 picks. I think Brock Purdy would have, let's see, in the first half of the season, I think Brock Purdy would have 10 touchdowns and 5 or 6 picks. That's what I would see from Brock Purdy. Because Brock Purdy doesn't have to push the ball downfield unlike Jimmy G. Jimmy G doesn't push the ball downfield. If you want to call someone a check down machine, you go to Jimmy G. Everybody's calling Brock Purdy a check down machine when the dude has the most 20-yard completions down the field. But let's get back on top about these Raiders in the Jimmy G trade. So now that you have Jimmy G for 3 years, and you can't trade for a quarterback, you bitched him for Aiden O'Connell. You fired Josh McDaniels. I mean, where do you go from here? You're practically screwed for the next 3 years. You get a terrible grade on this trade. The Saints clearly won this trade by a mile. This was not a close trade. I don't know what you was thinking when you signed Jimmy G to this deal. The Raiders clearly didn't think this out. They were so desperate to get rid of Josh McDaniels. Was so desperate to get rid of Derek Carr. That was the point where you should have fired him, because Derek Carr was always better than Jimmy G. Derek Carr put up the stats better than Jimmy G. Derek Carr was not the reason that team went 6-11. There is more to it than that. That's coaching. Like I said, coaching matters. That's exactly why the things were 6-11, and they did even though they went 8-9 this year because the Broncos decided to bench Russell Wilson in that last game. they are still far away from being a great team anytime soon. I still think that you got to rebuild around Aiden O'Connell. If Aiden O'Connell is your future, you need to get the right coaching immediately, because if you don't get the right coaching immediately, you're going to have a 4-13 record. You might as well get ready. I mean, you was fortunate to go 8-9 last season because the Chargers were trash and the Broncos were trash. That's the reason you went 8-9 this season. Because if you're in a division with Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, and Russell Wilson, and I said Russell Wilson for a reason. Russell Wilson has been great this season. I don't know why the Broncos benched him. I may even do a video tomorrow on why I think the Broncos' decision was stupid to bench Russell Wilson. But if you're going to be in a division with Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, a healthy Justin Herbert, by the way, and Patrick Mahomes, I still think Patrick Mahomes is good despite his terrible season this year. But if you're going to be in a division with those three quarterbacks, you need a QB that can match that talent. And I don't think Aiden O'Connell is not there yet. I mean, you can give him a great team around him, and he still would not be there yet, quarterback wise. He just needs as much help as you can get him, because he's just not there yet. He's still learning. He's a rookie. So you bench Jimmy G for a rookie. I mean, are you going to bring Jimmy G back next year as your starter? Because you can't just cut him. It would be a lot of cap space. It'd be a lot of dead cap if you cut him. It'd be a dumb decision, like you did. Like it was a dumb decision to even give him that deal. I'd rather give that deal to Kenny Pickett than Jimmy G. I mean, are you kidding me? Kenny Pickett is still developable. Jimmy G is not developable, even though that's not a word. But you guys know what I mean when I say that. The dude's not able to be taught. I mean, Jimmy G's been in this league for years, and if he's still doing the same junk he's doing now, there is no point of even signing him to that massive contract. I mean, I want you guys respond in the comments on what you think about this trade, because I clearly think the Saints won this trade. And if you want to talk about, well, the Saints missed the playoffs. Well, that's also Derek Carr's first year on a new scheme. And if he did not get, and let's say, and I know this is a lot of ifs, and this is a butterfly effect. But if he never got injured in that Saints and Packers game where they were up 17-0, we're talking about Saints as a 7th seed right now. I mean, we're talking about Saints 10-7, and maybe even actually no, if they were 10-7, that means they would win the division. So that means we're talking about Saints 7th seed and maybe Saints 4 seed and Bucks 7th seed right now. We may be talking about Bucks Dallas, Saints Eagles right now. I mean, they're one injury away from being in the postseason. And it's ridiculous. So that's all I gotta say about the Raiders and Saints trade with Derek Carr. I mean, it was a ridiculous notion to move on from a quarterback that was great, and you just never built around him properly. I mean, I think you did give him some weapons on the defensive line. You did give him his former teammate Devontae Adams, but you never gave him the proper coaching. That's why you went 6-11 with him that year. And you thought Derek Carr was the problem, and now you did even you may have did better by 2 wins because you got rid of McDaniels, because there was, at one point you had a trash record. So and now you see it was never Derek Carr to begin with. If you would have kept Derek Carr and fired Josh McDaniels, you may would have even been in the playoffs. You may would have had a winning record. Instead, you went 8-9. So let's. I want you guys to leave a comment about the Raiders and Saints trade. And I'm gonna talk about the Rams and the Lions trade too, because they play each other soon in the playoffs, and I think both of those teams won that trade. But that will be in the next Rant video most likely. If not, I'll talk about something else random. Goodbye, guys.